Welcome to QI for a show all about numbers. Tonight we will cross the divide and go forth and multiply. And in addition, we will subtract lots of points from Alan. So, let's meet our four fine figures, the rational Colin Lane.
Oh, thank you.
The complex Sarah Millican. The imaginary Noel Fielding. And the extremely random Alan Davis. So, if they would like to grab my attention, they can count on their buzzers, and Colin goes...
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Sarah goes...
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ah, that's very good. Noel goes...
2, 4, 6, 8.
And Alan goes... So, here is question 1. Which is the loneliest number?
3, 4, 5.
Yes.
1.
No. It's the obvious one, but it's not that one.
So maybe 2 is the loneliest number because it's next to the one that gets talked about the most.
And do you know what? I would make that entirely a correct answer if it wasn't so horribly wrong. No.
3 is the magic number.
3 is the magic number. Well, I don't know, I've never tried, but so they say.
Is it 13? Because it's quite unlucky, so the other numbers don't want to go near it.
OK, so it is an unpopular number.
0.
No, it's quite a high number. So there's a mathematician called...
100.
Yeah, you're heading in the right direction.
14.
200.
No, we're not going to play this high and low.
101. 102, 110.
Yes!
110?
It's 110!
110.
Alan gets the prize.
Now, I don't speak now for the rest of the evening.
Yeah, that's it. So there's a mathematician called Alex Bellos, and he wanted to find the world's favourite number. So he asked a lot of people, and 30,023 people responded, and the lowest whole number that nobody chose was 110. It was everybody's least favourite number. So QI has adopted it as our favourite number.
Very, very lukewarm round of applause. You prefer number 7, don't you?
Well, why might you prefer number 7? That's a really interesting thing.
Is it the lucky number?
It's the world's favourite number.
Oh.
That is the one that Alex Bellos discovered most people prefer. And in fact, there was a national lottery draw which rather bore this out. The 23rd of March 2016, 5 of the 6 numbers were multiples of 7, OK? So there was 7, 14, 21, 35 and 42, and the other one was 41. And so many people chose them, you got more money for matching 4 numbers than you did for matching 5. So 4 numbers, you got £51, and 5 right, you got £15.
You were talking about threesome. I was trying to work out if I've had a 7-some.
A 7?
I think I have. I haven't. I have.
If you can count your pets, then I probably have.
Does it count if they're sleeping on the bed at the time? That doesn't count.
Anyway, moving on. Now, have a look at these different numbers. So, number 1, anybody know what that one is right there in the middle? The hieroglyph.
I'm not good on hieroglyphics. Pass.
So, what were you saying, Colin? You were making a noise. You were just making a noise.
I was just making a noise.
What was the noise?
Yes.
Yes, so that's... weirdly, it's quite close to the correct answer. It's a man holding his hands up, and he's most likely called either her or huh or her. The thing is, there are no vowels in hieroglyphs, so we don't really know how it's pronounced, but it's going to be some kind of vowel-y H sound. And he represents 1 million. for the Egyptians. I think he's just going like, I've no idea how many.
I think he's lost his keys. Someone went, do you know where your keys are? And he went, I don't know. They're on your elbows, mate.
He basically represents infinity because to the Egyptians, million is a very large, undefined number. A bit like the way we use myriad. So myriad actually means 10,000, but that isn't how we use it. We use it as a symbol for something huge. The Egyptians also had a symbol for 10,000, but it's just that. It's a bent finger is 10,000 in... if I ever go to you, you owe me.
So if you say something in parentheses, then you also owe me 40,000.
Yes.
Yes.
Or you're doing shadow rabbits.
Yes.
Either way, it's a fun evening ahead.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the other ones that we've got other than our Egyptian. So the eye. Anybody know what the eye is? Another pictogram?
Well, because I'm from Australia, is it just a weird kind of Sydney Harbour Bridge, perhaps?
Oh,
It
I
could
like
be.
that. Yes.
For 5. That's 4, 3. Minus 1.
1, 2.
Ah!
0.
0. Very good.
0.
It's like I'm working you today. It's the Mayan number 0.
Why did they just write 0, the Mayans?
Oh, because they were very busy doing a lot of clever things for us to find later.
Oh.
They had the concept of 0 by about 30 BC, at which time the Romans and the Greeks didn't bother with it.
Didn't have a
Nobody
number
else.
0.
The
Weird.
Greeks...
Why is it eye-shaped? It looks like the eye's got prison bars over it. It's like they've outlawed looking.
The Greeks didn't bother with it because maths was more geometry for them, so the 0 didn't make any sense. In fact, we don't get the 0 in Europe until about the 13th century. Before that, couldn't be asked. Just... let's have another look. OK, number 3 there. 2 to the power of 74,207,281 minus 1.
Is it going to be the highest prime number or
It
something?
is. The largest... You're on a...
You are killing it.
It's a Mersenne prime. It is the largest one they've ever discovered, and it was discovered, obviously, by a computer. Dr. Curtis Cooper at the University of Central Missouri set the computer off, and then there was a glitch, and an email saying, we found it, went unnoticed for months until they discovered it by accident.
Went in spam?
It went into spam. It contains 228,338,618 digits in total. It's basically 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 74 million times minus 1.
That's my lucky number.
But it's impossible to believe with these things, isn't it, that it's not divisible by anything at all?
Oh, well, that's
It's
that's
sort
how,
of
yeah.
absolutely mind-boggling.
Mind-blowing, isn't it, that that's a prime number? So the next one, number 4 there, 8,085,000,085. Any thoughts what that might be? It's a huge number, isn't it?
Bacteria on your person.
Oh, gross me out.
Bacteria within your person.
Oh.
Bacteria trying to get out of your person.
I've honestly never felt so filthy. No, so if you were to write out all the numbers from 1 to 10 billion in words and organise them into alphabetical order, this is the very first one that would be an odd number. And that is because 8 is the very first number alphabetically, right? It begins with E. Also, all the numbers beginning with 8 have to come before the next number, which would be 11. OK, so it goes 8, 8 billion, 8 billion and 8, 8 billion and 18, 8 billion and 80, 8 billion and 88, 8 billion and 85. So it's the very first one that is an odd...
OK, would it be a problem if you just explain that again?
Did you wish to take the news with you to Australia?
Look what I brought back from England, this amazing piece of information that I still don't understand.
I'm trying to work out a face that I can do that would be as if I did understand that.
Were you good at maths at school, no? Was it?
No, terrible.
Why do you think that is? Because I wasn't good at it either. It didn't make sense to me. You know that whole thing, minus and a minus is a plus. You know, there's this thing. So I used to say, but I don't have 4 sheep and you don't give me 4 sheep. How is it I've got 8 sheep suddenly running around?
Sheep, and who on earth put them into alphabetical order?
Yes! There is no reason. What about you, Colin? Did you do well at school?
Well, I was bullied at school.
Oh,
yes.
everybody.
A kid stole my lunch and gave me a wedgie, and then I decided to give up teaching. So...
I like that. My very last school report, you were supposed to get a nice one at the end to send you off into the world. It just said, Sandra has a tendency to over-dramatise. Let's have a look back at the ones that we've got left in on Number Cloud. 142,857. If I tell you it's a cyclic number, does that mean anything to you?
No, is it to do with bicycles?
Oh, I like that. How many bicycles in Paris? That kind of thing. Yeah, no. So if you take this number and you multiply it by any number between 1 and 6, the answer will always be an anagram of the original number. So it'll just keep all those numbers. So look there, times 2, times 3, times 4.
Noise.
Yeah. And then...
We don't understand, but we're going to make... This is the beginnings of subjugation. This number is an anagram of the other numbers. Oh, number.
When you get to the magic number 7, you can see that it doesn't work anymore. It only works from 1 to 6.
Extraordinary.
Let's have a look at the number 43. Anybody know about the number 43?
What I say my age is.
What
No,
is
just
your...
joking.
Are you older or younger?
I'm older, yes.
See, I was being polite.
Yes, thank you.
Boys don't mind about their age. Do boys mind about their age?
Oh, they pretend that they... Oh, you're shaking your head.
I don't mind about my age.
I don't mind about mine, so...
I'm 38 and proud. Nothing wrong with
Well, I
that.
have no idea. A year older than me. So,
The 43 goes to Fry and Barnet.
does it?
Yep.
It's a bus.
It's a bus.
To you, it's a bus number. It's a Frobenius number. Not helping, am I?
No.
They didn't even give you a... Ooh.
It's a... So, I'm going to explain it in terms of McDonald's, OK?
OK.
So this is a mathematical problem posed by a German called Ferdinand Frobenius in the early 20th century. Let's say it's chicken McNuggets, OK? They are only sold in multiples of 6, 9 and 20, OK? And 43 is the largest number of McNuggets it's impossible to buy. So you could get 41, because you could have 20 and 9 and 6 and 6. You could have 42, because you could have 4 lots of 9 and a 6. You could have 44, because you could have 4 lots of 6 and a 20. You cannot buy 43 McNuggets.
Not even...
You'd have to throw some away.
Right.
Not even if you know Ronald McDonald.
Now, for question number 2, which is aptly about number 2s. What can we do about the international poo shortage? Yes, Sarah.
We could all get IBS.
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that, because
Yeah.
that man in the picture is very pleased with his.
Yeah. He's going to need some cream on after that, I reckon.
Too much or too little poo?
Too little.
Is it animal as opposed to human,
Yes,
though?
it is. So why might that be a problem?
Fertilisation.
It is fertilisation. It is.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
isn't so much farmers, but it is fertilisation.
Right.
So the death of lots of the Earth's large animals, it's had a knock-on effect on the smaller species due to a worldwide lack of excrement. And it is really extraordinary, because the natural fertilisation, so that you would find on land with animal faeces, it has dropped to 8% of what it was at the end of the last ice age. They're just not...
So it's just animal number 2s?
Yeah.
So we can't do our bit?
Well, I don't... no. It's kind of you to offer, but I don't know about Australia, but they have laws here, and...
And I thought you were going to be different.
Oh, I am different, but you haven't looked closely enough. So we need animal poo, and in the oceans, it's even worse. So fecal nutrients in the ocean are estimated at only 5% of what they were historically. So if you think there's been a decline in the number of whales, and it was always thought that would cause the number of krill to increase, because, of course, the krill is the very thing that they eat, that hasn't materialised because the poo from the whales that fertilises the plants that the krill eats is no longer there in the quantities that it was. And it's called trophic cascade. It's the process by which a top predator
Really?
helps the rest of the ecosystem.
92% less poo than there was at the end of the Ice Age?
Yeah, on the land, and 95% in the ocean.
Wow.
Now, here's a really crap link. Oh, I'm making some of this up as I go along. What do these things have in common? So we've got some dye. Clearly an English church, because there's something half timbered by it. Lava lamp, some neon, and...
M&M.
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 So what have they got in common?
It's the odd one out. Is it an odd one out round?
It's quite a random thing.
Is it anything to do with where they originated or something like that?
No, they used...
Did you say the word random?
It is to do with random.
Is it because they're random?
They're all ways of generating random numbers. So the easiest one is the tossing of the dice. That's probably one of the oldest ways of creating random numbers. People have been doing it forever, assuming the dice is not loaded in any way, so then you will get a random number. Computers can't actually generate random numbers. They do everything by a pattern. It's a sort of pseudo-random thing. Say you used a computer to pick lottery numbers. If you knew the pattern, you'd be able to cheat. They don't actually do it. But you need tables of random numbers. They're very useful in statistics, but you can't roll tens of thousands of dice. That would be ridiculous. The very first table, which was in 1927, was created by taking the middle digits from the area measurements of 41,600 English churches. Then there was a company called Lavarand in 1996, and they took pictures of lava lamps, and they extracted the data from those photos, and they used that to generate random numbers. So all the things that we were looking at were to do with the generation of random numbers. And the rapper was a guy at Florida State University, George Masarglia, and he created a list of 4.8 billion randomly produced noughts and ones by taking a number of rap songs and turning them into digital files. So these are all... I know. I mean, that he's got the time.
Yes.
Why isn't a dice just enough for these people?
Presumably because you need millions of numbers rather than just, oh, it's a 6.
It's not all about board games, I've just realised.
No. In the past, they used to use the random selection as a way of making political appointments. They used to use something called sortition, and what it is, it's random selection, which I quite like. People have suggested it for the House of Lords in this country. That it might be you, or it might be a member of the audience, or it might be you.
That's the old Plato thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Chosen against his will because he was the best candidate.
Yeah.
The philosopher king. Here it would be probably David Beckham or something.
I suppose we use it a bit. We use it for jury service, don't we? And the Venetians, for years and years and years, they used drawing of lots to select the Doge. There were 9 stages of drawing lots in a fantastically complicated system that carried on for about 500 years. And it was semi-random, but the idea was that help people through who are not just the people with money or the people who are good at demagoguery or that kind of thing. So, anyway, let's go forth and multiply with our 4th question. How did the Danish government convince its citizens to multiply? This is one of my randy scandies.
You mean actually...
I do mean that.
Was that financial incentives?
There were incentives.
We all need incentives anyway, don't we?
What, to procreate?
Or just, you know, the bit before that as well.
Right. I'm fine, but OK.
Incentivise me!
So I can narrow it down. It's actually a place called Thisted, which is in Jutland, so the mainland, the bit that sticks up from Germany. So what happened in 2015, the local authorities were going to close down the local school, and everybody was very upset in the local area. So they struck a deal that the people would procreate as much as possible if they kept the school and the leisure facilities open. Nothing says, I'm bringing sexy back like a council memo.
And did they all do it? Did they all have to have kids?
Well, as many as possible, so they were encouraged to have kids. I have to say, it's a lovely place, Thisted. Not a lot to do. Number 3 on their own website of things to do in the area is visit the candle shop.
Sexy candles for around the bath.
Yeah. There's been lots of times before. Britain has had its own panics about falling populations because of the war and contraception and so on. So in 1921, the Daily Express ran a competition to find Britain's largest family. And the News of the World offered a free tea tray to any mother. Any mother who gave birth to her 10th child. Don't want your bloody tea tray, I'll take your head off with it. And the French still give medals for having large families. That's still a thing, the Médaille de la Famille Française. How many kids for bronze? What do you reckon?
6.
4 to 5. Silver, you get 6 to 7. Gold, 8+.
I thought you said 45 for a second.
There's so much wrong with that picture. I can't begin.
Go on.
Why are they creating a human bench for their 2 children?
Yeah, that is worrying.
Have they glued their heads together? Maybe they're ventriloquists and that's how they hold their children. Just used to holding people like that.
Now, how many great nights out can you have in a single week in Wales?
7. 7?
It's not 7.
6.
8.
8. The Welsh word for a week, a wythnos, translates as 8 nights. If you start counting a week on a Sunday night and you finish on a Sunday night, which is how they used to do it, that's 8 nights.
But then that's wrong. Did nobody put them straight?
It's wrong to us now. I mean, lots of things have changed. So in Old English, the day used to begin at sunset. So what was Wednesday night to an Anglo-Saxon would be Tuesday night to us now. So that's changed. And in some Muslim countries, for example, where Friday is the holy day, you have a Friday, Saturday weekend. The working week then starts on a Sunday.
Where can you get your hair done on a Sunday, 3 in the afternoon?
That's a very good point. And whose diary is that? Because I'm having lunch with them.
They can drive, that's nice.
I know, that's
Well,
yes.
I think if they had any manners, they'd get their hair done before they had
Yes.
lunch. Or it means that 2 days after lunch with Sandy, you better get your hair done.
She's a messy eater.
Anybody know what half of a fortnight is? Imagine Jane Austen, for example.
I'm not
Jane
familiar
Austen?
with Jane Austen.
It's a sennight. There's a lovely bit in Pride and Prejudice where Mr. Collins says he will trespass on your hospitality from Monday, November the 18th to the Saturday sennight following.
People still talk like that.
We should bring those things back, don't you think? Mind you, wouldn't your heart fill with horror? Somebody's coming to stay for a sennight.
How long is that again?
7 nights.
How long are you staying for?
I'm staying 4 nights, which is traditionally... It should only be 3 nights, something about fish or something you shouldn't stay...
It was Dickens, I think, he said that fish and overnight guests are exactly the same. They both go off after 3 days.
Yes.
Irritatingly, he was referring to Hans Christian Andersen, who apparently was staying with him and was a truly terrible house guest. So
What if you put your guest in the fridge?
Oh.
Or freezer, even.
Yes, that's...
Could last 3 months then.
Okay.
Or, you know, 10 years like we all do.
8 nights on the town in Wales makes for a long, long week. Now, here's something nice. Cake. So you've each got a cake and a knife, and here is the challenge, OK? I want you to cut 2 pieces of exactly equal size. You can use 3 cuts to do it, but in such a way that the cake is still moist for you to have some more tomorrow. What would be the best way of cutting it?
Could the cake stay moist in my tummy? Because then you just half
Yes,
it.
you could just halve it. No. So the idea is that there is cake for tomorrow. So we're going to start with Alan and Colin first. What is your...
Well, my theory
Yes.
is that we cut through the middle.
OK.
It's going to be difficult, but we're going to do it.
Right.
And then we take the top off.
OK.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we eat the bottom bit.
You're going to eat the whole of the bottom bit, is that...
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's quite a large piece of cake, isn't it?
We're 2 men in our 30s. We love cake. I'll take the top off.
Yeah.
Carl's going to remove the bottom of the cake.
Right.
And then put the top back down again. That's moist for tomorrow.
Right.
And then we cut this paste that there.
Yeah.
We cut this completely in half,
Right.
like that. 2 equal pieces.
Wow, that's very good. Do you think anybody who likes the filling is going to be mildly disappointed?
That's right.
So let's go over to...
I think I've got an idea.
No, do it with the cake, yeah.
I'm just going to draw it
Oh,
first.
fine, OK.
Is that OK?
Yes, darling, you do
Diagram.
what you like.
Yeah. What if we cut it, like, in a way that we could back
I was
together?
thinking that.
Yeah.
Where we cut like a bit out of there and then a bit out of there and then just...
Yeah, just... That'd be better, wouldn't it, than cutting...
Do you want to do it?
I mean, that was a shambles, what they did.
Smushing doesn't sound good.
But I reckon we have to do this first.
Do you think?
Yeah, go on. That's good.
Oh.
No?
Shush now. Shush now. The audience are trying to be helpful, but are not.
Well, they are being helpful.
OK, go for it, Sarah.
OK, so... Oh, it's tough.
Yeah, so no, delicious is what you're looking for.
And then...
Do you just draw on Pac-Man? That doesn't make any sense.
So take out your pieces.
These are our pieces.
Noel, were you calling us a shambles? Is that what you were saying?
There you go.
So there is a mathematical way of doing it. There was a man called Francis Galton. He's an extraordinary fellow. He was an explorer. He was the very first person to come up with the idea of a weather map. And he also was slightly obsessed with the idea of sharing a Christmas cake with his wife in an even manner. So what he did was he wrote a rather long treatise on the subject, which he sent to Nature magazine. You're absolutely heading in the right direction. So what you do is you cut right down the middle like this, and then you pull out the entire centre piece.
That was it.
That's only 2 cuts, though.
Oh, wait, I haven't finished.
OK.
So you pull out the whole thing like
Then
this,
you squid
and then you
it
cut that one in
Oh,
half.
Yeah.
So then you have 2 pieces.
We were nearly there.
Oh, you were very nearly there. You have 2 pieces of cake like that, and then you simply push the cake back together.
Did that
and it will
about-
stay there.
Looks very similar to ours.
Are you writing that down, Lionel?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. So,
Only if there's 2 people, though. I mean, what if there's usually 19?
then usually the whole cake gets eaten. I think it's not really a problem.
I'd say with 2 with me, to be honest.
Yeah. It's actually a branch of mathematics called fair cake cutting, which is about optimising the division of resources. In Chinese economics, they talk about cake theory, and it's slightly different because the debate is whether it's more important to divide the cake fairly or to bake a bigger cake. So that's how you can halve your cake and eat it. But now to a question about wrong numbers. Where's the worst place in the world for nuisance calls? Great picture. Do you not think you thought more carefully about making a phone call when you had to dial it one number at a time?
Oh, if you had to dial someone who had lots of 8s and 9s in it,
Yeah.
sometimes you wouldn't bother.
Just can't be asked.
I actually did that. I bought a retro phone because I liked the look of it.
Yeah.
And after about a week, I went, oh, this is killing me. So boring.
When I was a child, we had a holiday home in the country in Denmark, and there were so few... Yes. There were so few telephones that our number was 7.
Really?
The woman used to put the calls through and then listen in, and you knew that. Hear her breathing.
So did you ever get people ringing up and then just go, I think you've got the wrong number?
Yeah, do you want number 9?
I wanted 6. I wanted 6.
Easily done. Worst place in the world for nuisance calls? What do you reckon?
I know what that call is. Someone's saying there's a poo shortage. You haven't got anything in your bag.
I can help out. Constantly.
Just working on it now.
Wouldn't it be the country with the most people in?
No, ironically, the place with the fewest telephones for a short while. So it is, in fact, the Pacific island of Niue. It looks fab, doesn't it? Niue. Yep. So in the early 90s, people were constantly woken up by heavy breathers because the country was the home of an extremely lucrative sex line business, and people often used to dial the wrong number. There were only 387 telephones on the island, and the phone numbers only had 4 digits, so people were often misdialing.
So this is people ringing the wrong number and expecting a sex line.
Yes.
So if they're already heavy breathing, they've started already. I didn't know this.
Maybe it was just a helpline for asthma, people with asthma. Nothing sexual. That guy's trying to ring 9 people at the same time. That's not going to work.
I once picked up the phone. Somebody said, "You're supposed to be a fax." And you think, I have no idea what to say back to that. Beep.
Yeah.
So they had a terrible time because there were people constantly getting wrong numbers. And Belgium is another country that ran sex lines for quite a while. And when they were banned, this is the most brilliant thing, they started a new thing, which was cookery lines with recipes read in the most sexual way possible. They used to read out sexy recipes.
What's a sexy recipe?
Toad in the hole.
Toad in the hole. Can't think of anything more exciting, I think.
I'd quite fancy a toad in the hole. Last time I had that, I had a football under my arm and a catapult in my pocket. 2 weeks ago.
You used to be able to get toad in the hole followed by spotted dick.
Yeah.
There's a recipe you could read out. So here's the thing, we're going to make our own nuisance call this evening. There is a number that anybody can ring in Sweden, and it's a scheme set up by the country's tourism authority to celebrate 250 years of free speech in Sweden, and it's called Ring a Random Swede, OK? It's a genuine random thing. We have no idea who we're going to get. We've already pre-selected a question from a member of the audience, and the question is, why do you eat rotten fish?
Does anybody speak Swedish? No.
Here's the marvellous thing about Scandinavians is that their English is really coming along.
Okay.
So, the marvellous sound department are going to put the call through now, and I obviously will have to explain what it is that we're doing to this person.
Calling Sweden. You will soon be connected to a random Swede somewhere in Sweden. This call may be recorded. A lot of people are calling Sweden right now. The random
This whole thing's making me very anxious. I don't
Is
know
it?
why.
Do you mean it's just talking
I
to
think-
somebody you don't know?
Because I think if someone rang me randomly, I'd be so pissed off.
I know, but people have signed up for it, so they've
they
actually
want
signed up
it.
to be random Swede. It's not like you just...
Robin.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Sandy. I'm ringing from London. Who's that?
This is Robin in South Sweden.
Robin. Oh, hi. You're my random Swede that I'm ringing.
Yeah.
Is it your first phone call from an English person?
It's my first call overall, actually.
This is kind of exciting, Robin, because I'm ringing you from a live television studio in London. So you're on the BBC right now. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So I tell you what, we'll have a round of applause from our audience. Maybe you can hear that.
Brilliant.
What do you do, Robin?
I'm shopping some groceries.
Okay. Are you actually in the shop?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a question from our audience, and you may be buying this now. What do I know? Why do Swedish people eat rotten fish? Is the question we want to ask you.
Yeah, most of us also want to know this question. So, please call back again.
So what are you going to buy, Robin, for your dinner?
We're making some chicken with parmesan.
Nice, sounds
Parmesan, that
nice.
sounds lovely. Very good English.
Yes, very good English. Can you ask him how he's going to divide the chicken?
Yeah.
And to keep it moist the next
Yes.
day.
So here's the thing, Robin. Are you all right if we put this on the BBC?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Which channel on BBC?
On BBC Two? It's called QI. Do you know QI?
No, I don't.
No. You have your own version in Sweden of QI.
Interestklubben.
Could you ask him?
Interestklubben.
Could you ask him what time should he expect us for dinner?
Yeah, so... the whole audience wants to come for dinner. It was lovely to speak to you, Robin.
Yeah, me too. Have a nice evening.
His English was pretty good.
That English coming along, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's coming along.
You'll never meet an unfriendly Swede, that's my view.
Darling. That's because they're usually
marvellous.
drunk. It's a Danish-Swedish thing. OK, new question. How does it feel to be a nine-ender? Anybody know?
If you've lost a finger.
It's not that. It's about our ages.
Oh, is it if you're sort of 19, 29, 39?
Yes, it's exactly that. They did a study in 2014, Adam Alter and Hal E. Hirschfield of New York University, and people who have 9 at the end of their age are more likely to be looking for purpose in their lives. I think the idea is that we see a new decade as a sort of watershed
milestone,
moment. A
yes,
milestone, exactly
yes.
right. So more likely to be registered on dating sites looking for extramarital affairs, for example. More likely to run a marathon or commit suicide. I don't think that's an either-or. I don't think... And also to do better in marathons because they're better motivated. And lots of examples. Buddha renounced all his possessions when he was 29. Agatha Christie published her first book at 29. Alexander Graham Bell transmitted his first sentence by telephone at 29. So there are lots and lots of
I
examples.
started doing stand-up at 29.
Did you?
Yeah.
Peter Schmeichel won his first Premiership winners' medal at 29.
Oh.
And this year, his son, Casper, has won his first Premiership medal at 29.
Wow, that's kind of spooky.
And they're both Danish.
Yes, well, there's a Randy Scandi.
Come up with a Randy Scandi.
Yeah. Right, let's play. How many people in the audience? Each of my panellists has got a coloured card, OK? And the audience also has coloured cards, and I'm going to get them to stand up, and I want you to tell me which item on this list relates to the number of people who are standing. So we're going to start with Colin. What colour is your card, Colin?
Blue.
Blue. So could all the blue card people stand up, please? What do you reckon, Colin? How many people do you think that is?
It's about 180, 200
OK.
people.
It's 230 people
230
standing.
people.
And it took 230 people to do one of these 5 things.
Selfie fatalities in 2014.
It is not. It is something a bit more substantial.
Built the Eiffel Tower.
Built the Eiffel Tower is absolutely right. Built by 230 people in 2 years. You can sit back down again, and we will come to Sarah. What colour's your card?
I have red.
So could I have the red card standing, please? How many do you think that might be?
Oh, 100 maybe?
69.
Oh,
So
OK.
have a look at the list. What do you reckon?
I think maybe the selfie fatalities.
We keep going for that one. It isn't that. It is the world record number of children born to a single mother.
No way. What?
All of you are now related, which is rather exciting. It is a woman called Valentina Vasilyev. She had 16 pairs of twins. She had 7 sets of triplets, 4 sets of quadruplets. In 40 years between 1725 and 1765, in total, 27 births. Her husband, Fyodor Vasilyev, went on to have a further 18 children with his second wife.
So he left her?
I think she died. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
But the way she was having children was someone was unscrewing her and they were just getting on.
But this is a wrong that ought to be righted. The Guinness Book of Records describes Valentina as the wife of Fyodor without mentioning her own name, and she deserves absolutely her own name as a credit. So Valentina, she was called.
Did you know how young she started?
Well, over 40 years she had the children, so must have started very young indeed. But,
She was 4.
Yes. Let's have a look at yours, Noel. What colour is your card? A white one. Let's have all the white cards stand, please. How many people do you reckon that is?
50?
Difficult. 49, you're almost exactly right. And what does that represent?
Selfie fatalities.
Maybe
Everybody's gone for the selfie fatalities. What do you reckon?
QI contestants.
You should have gone for the selfie fatalities. That number of people, very sadly, in 2014, died taking a selfie. 16 came from a fall, 4 from a gunshot, 1 from an animal. I don't know what the story is. I've no idea. The most common place, apparently, to die taking a selfie is in India, followed by Russia. So, I tell you what, Alan, why did you get the whole audience to stand up? Let's have a...
Everyone, please rise.
There we are. So, that is the entire audience.
Oh, I've heard that noise before. Turn you back for 2 seconds.
So 625 people is the QI audience. I can tell you it represents people who died in a certain way. They didn't die together. It was 625 individual incidents.
Domestic accident.
It's an accident
Was
in
it
the home, but...
coming to panel shows?
The word coming is going to be most...
Getting jiggy.
It is the number of people in 2014 who died from autoerotic asphyxiation.
Sit down, you dirty bastard. Sorry, I'm confused. I thought for a moment that you were all autoerotics.
And that's how to explain the dangers of autoerotic asphyxiation using our studio audience. All of which talk of hard sums brings us to the insoluble equation that is general ignorance. So fingers on buzzers, please. In terms of numbers, which is the most common vertebrate in the world? Oh, Alan.
Humans. No, we haven't. You like the klaxon? We'll get some more. We'll get some more.
7 billion humans. I mean, I can tell you already there are more chickens than there are...
Chicken.
Chickens!
It's not rats.
No, it's not rats.
I've got it.
Yes.
People who died of auto asphyxiation.
It's a fish.
Fish.
It's a fish called the bristlemouth. And it's tiny. It is smaller than your finger, but if it opens its mouth up wide, it's got these incredible needle-like teeth. It's an amazing fish. It glows, and it eats even smaller creatures, which you can see they're called copepods, but they're not vertebrates. But this is the largest number of vertebrates in the world. They live in the sea, between half a mile and 3 miles down. And until the 21st century, so they get the very fine dredging nets, we didn't really know how many there were. The estimate now is that there are as many as a dozen per square metre of ocean surface, which
And
is
they
incredible.
disguise themselves as diagrams.
They do. They're pretandrous. Do you know what that means?
No.
They're pretandrous.
A Chrissy Hind? No.
I don't know about that. They're male-first hermaphrodites.
Wow.
The most common animal in the world is an invertebrate. It's a nematode worm. 4 out of 5 of all animals is a nematode.
Anything that comes at you like that without any eyes.
That's why some of us made the life choices we did. What colour bricks did they build number 10 with?
Oh, red one. Surely they're dirty.
White.
Black.
Black.
Yeah.
Yellow. There was lots and lots of pollution, and in fact, when it was cleaned off in the 50s and 60s, they thought, oh, we better paint it black, because everybody's expecting it to be black.
Oh, really?
And can you see the 0 on the 10 is slightly askew? It's an homage to the old number, which was always very slightly askew. The White House also made with yellow bricks, so that's a curious thing. They are, in fact, sandstone underneath all that white paint. They may not look it, but the White House and the front of number 10 Downing Street are both a similar shade of yellow. The word noon comes from the word nun, which meant 9. So with that in mind, if you had to meet a 9th century nun at noon, what time would you noodle off to the nunnery?
Noon means nun, which came from 9. You're meeting the nun
Nun,
at
what time would you
9.
meet if you were meeting the nun at noon?
12. Nine.
Yeah.
There isn't a nun.
I like that as a nun.
Anyone else want to have a
Call
go?
them instead.
Until the mid-12th century, the word noon meant 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, bollocks.
You were so winning as well. You destroyed your score.
It goes back to old Christian prayer times. So it used to be that the day began at 6 a.m, so that was known as the prime or the first hour. Then you have Tierce, so the third hour, that would be 9 a.m. today. Nones, the 9th hour.
That guy in the orange has got my haircut. He's praying for a new one. Please, I don't want to be in cabaret anymore.
Until the Middle Ages, noon was 3 p.m. And all this talk of time makes me realise it must be time for the scores. In last place, with minus 41, is Alan. It should be Sarah next, but we're going to skip over that, and we're going to put in third place Colin with minus 9. And in second place, Noel with 1 point. So, Sarah actually got minus 26, but I was supposed to do a gig for Sarah, and I let her down by becoming the new host of QI, and I couldn't do it. So this week's winner, to make up for it, is Sarah. That's all from Sarah, Noel, Colin, Alan and me, and I leave you with this number-related Neolithic newspaper nugget from the Eastern Evening News. When 2 men stole 6 sheep from a farm at Munford, they found they could only get 5 of them into the back of their van. So the other one had to sit in the cab between the 2 men. But the men had to pass through Watton on their way home. Fearing that the sheep sitting in the cab might be conspicuous, they disguised it by putting a trilby hat on its head. Good night.